This is my first post. After reading about so much wonderfully weird shit, I wanted to share my own. A little over a decade ago my husband, Mark, and I met, and started dating. We'd been going out for about 2 weeks, when the confusing incident happened. I was at Walmart with my friend, Kay. As I was looking at some cute bras, I spotted Mark out of the corner of my eye. I grab a little bra to take to him, and ask if he likes it. Just to see him blush because that boy blushes easily. I am almost within touching distance, when I realize that it's an older man that looks exactly like Mark. The man was Mark, aged 10 years, but with thick luscious hair. I remember the smile and lines clearly, because I adore them, and he wore them well. Old Mark ignores me and I just keep after him. When he's out of sight, I go back to my friend, funny bra's forgotten. I tell her what happened. I tell Mark later and we have a laugh about the older guy's hair. Mark said, he knew it wasn't an old one because he had thin hair, that was growing thinner by the day. This incident stuck with me because as time passed, my Mark grew into the old Mark I saw at Walmart that day. Same eye lines, mouth lines, scruffy beard, the same slightly leathery skin young smokers acquire shortly before they go full elephant ass. Same shoulder slump, limp and slight hip sway. The freakiest part was when my Mark showed up one day, in the same light brown leather jacket, old man's red plaid shirt, and worn out blue jeans. The same outfit I saw all those years before. The only difference was my husband had super thin hair, not the luscious locks of old Walmart Mark. It's been over a decade and I still can't shake the utterly profound sense of strangeness I experienced the day my husband turned into the man I had seen. I never once told my Mark, or anyone, what the guy was wearing. I remember because I keep journals and still have that entry. I'm sure it's a coincidence and nothing remarkable. But it spooked me so badly and shifted my fundamental perception of reality, in a mostly good way. It's even worse than the time I saw a star blink out. Okay, so that was probably just a satellite or something similar, but 10-year-old sci-fi loving me was terrified at the time. I don't know why it stuck with me. I was 19 when it happened and I'm 31 now. I swear, my soul gives a shudder when I think back to the moment my Mark dressed as Walmart Mark. Rereading my journal entry from that day hurts my head. I was at a small local village festival with my dad. A few of my friends and I were on a small field that was open. It had a marquee at one end and a classic motorbike show on the other. My dad, my friends, and I were walking around the bikes, admiring them. I have to point out, that this is a weekend paid event. People usually attend setup camp. The field is also encircled by trees and fencing with only one exit. As we were looking at the bikes, my dad says, "Do you see her?" I look up and a girl was standing by the marquee, with her back to us. She had the same style of hair like me, in the same ponytail band, and the same color jumper as well. She was also wearing the same style of shorts and the same pink hoodie. She even had the same motorbike boots as me and she walked away in a style extremely similar to mine. I have a distinct walk because I injured my right knee. I turned genuinely shocked to my dad and we agreed we had both seen her. What's strange, is that felt I couldn't approach her or speak to her. I never saw her face, it was almost as if I couldn't. When I turned back to see her again, she was gone. I never ran into her again, over the weekend. Which is odd because you had to pay $35 to get in. It doesn't make sense to stay for one day. The field was small and only had one exit. So, I should have seen her at least once more, coming back towards the exit.
I worked at a tattoo shop in Arizona, across the river from Laughlin, Nevada. It was February, and people were spending tax returns on tattoos. I don't remember the exact day, but it was crazy busy. I got stuck with a family and tattooed until about 3 in the morning. They were very generous. After all was said and done, I had $2,000+. My wife had been waiting all night for me, so in a spur-of-the-moment decision, we decided to go across the river to the casino. I don't gamble, don't really drink, and just never been interested in that stuff. But that night it sounded fun. As soon as we got out of the car, at the first casino, is when I noticed things were odd. The valet runs up to me and looks confused, why I'm in my car. Like he even looked at my car and made a joke about, "Oh, this way you can probably just drive around." I was even more confused. I told him I would park my own car and did so. As we walked into the casino, People were looking at me. They were backing up and making room for me to walk by, nodding at me, and just acting weird. My wife was like, "What the hell? Why is everyone treating you like this?" At first I wrote it off as people just being nice, and doing their jobs. But it kept getting weirder. People kept staring at me and holding doors. My wife is asking me if I have some secret life or something. It didn't register at the time, but one of the bartenders said, "It's strange to see you here this time of day." It was 4 a.m., and I thought it was small talk. For hours, I gambled roulette and kept winning. I never played roulette in my life. All night/morning people kept staring at me, looking away when I locked eyes. I even walked up to some dude that was looking at me and said, "What's up?" And he was like, "Oh hey bro, I just noticed you, I'm sorry." I was shocked. This guy was legit nervous to be talking to me. I'm not famous, or a gangster, or anything. We thought I could have been because I tattooed a lot of people. But I usually recognize clients and they always treat me like a friend. I saw this weird old slot machine that only gave away silver dollars. But you had to use silver dollars to play. I was excited, so I went to find where I could get silver dollars, to put in the machine. The cashier was like, "What?" I told her it was for the machine and she was adamant that there was no machine like that. I went back to find it and couldn't. It was gone. People started bumping into me, and when I looked at them, nobody cared like before. I think I was the doppelganger. There were other smaller experiences, but in a nutshell that was it. It also seemed to end when I noticed the daylight. I don't know. I've been thinking about it for a long time, and it still bothers me. I don't look like anyone famous or infamous. I actually have a piercing through the bridge of my nose that makes me fairly unique. It would be hard to get me confused with someone else. Is this considered a glitch? As I said, there's more to it, but I'm not sure if I'm in the right place to post this. I hope this belongs here. If not, please let me know. I am starting to think there is something really weird going on. Now to begin, I understand many people get mistaken for someone else by strangers sometimes. But for whatever reason, this happens to me all the time. People always think they know me or met me before. Even in places where I've never been, or haven't been in years. Recently, strangers constantly talk to me, like I'm someone else. Like they know me or have met me before. And they always say it was the day or night before. These are by no means the only instances, but just a few recent ones that made me start to think, what the F? A couple of weeks ago, I was in Las Vegas for the first time in 8 years. 2 hours after getting there, I was at a bar, getting a drink, and the bartender lady is being friendly and chatting. But when I'm not quite as friendly back, she said, "You were here last night, we talked for a while, remember?" I told her that was not possible, as I'd only just arrived in Las Vegas. She said, "You sure?" "Sorry, guess you look just like someone else then." She seemed to think I was lying, maybe to avoid looking like I was drinking again? I have no idea, but I definitely had not been there. In the past week, I have twice gone to restaurants that I haven't been to, in quite some time. Both times the cashiers asked something like, "Oh, back again? Weren't you in yesterday?" When I absolutely was not. When I deny it's me, they seem really confused. I even checked my Google location history to be sure, and no visits to either location. If it was folks saying they remember me from a while ago from some past event, location, or whatever, I just write it off as bad memory or confusion. But lately, it's been people thinking we spoke the day before. You'd think I would be pretty fresh in their minds. It seems like I have a doppelganger that is visiting locations I visit the day before I get there. Has anyone else experienced anything like this? The frequency, and the fact it happens even when traveling, is what's freaking me out.